means renting to residential or residential properties is not taxed, and renting to income tax department cannot be taxed because income tax department cannot be said to be in business. Very quickly, let me take you through controversy 3. This is a case wherein, according to me, it's a classic case wherein the parents themselves are confused about the identity of the child. And you can understand things which would happen when the parent himself is confused whether the child is a boy or a girl. Software, whether it is goods or service, has a long story in itself. Way back into 1994, we had a judgment of Supreme Court in TCS saying that software, once it is recorded on a media, it becomes goods. However, ground level, many people kept on feeling that software is a service, and at some point of time, developers found it more convenient to discharge service tax, and therefore today you have a situation wherein for each sale of software, you find developers, traders, dealers charging both VAT as well as service tax. Of course, there is a Supreme Court decision of BSNL which says that VAT and service tax is mutually exclusive. Having said so many things, ISODA, an association of software dealers, filed a writ petition in the Chennai High Court saying that sale of software licenses, I am already paying VAT. There's a TCS decision which defines standard software to be goods. And therefore, once I've paid VAT, there cannot be a service tax on sale of such software licenses. In a sort of a unhappy decision or an unpleasant decision, the Chennai High Court goes ahead and maintains the constitutional validity of levy of service tax on such software licenses. Of course, the matter today is a bit sub judice. For want of time, I don't want to take too much of time of yours, but yes, this brings up various issues. First issue is, moment there's a VAT as well as service tax, it's in conflict with your basic principles of taxation. And that's where you can find in the controversy, customers coming back and telling that you can't charge both VAT as well as service tax. Customers, if they are getting VAT credit, they will reimburse you VAT. If they are getting service tax credit, they'll reimburse you service tax. So a dealer has a day in and a day out pain of keeping on convincing the customers that, look, I don't have any choice but to follow a conservative approach and charge both VAT as well as service tax. Second is, there is an effective dilution of various exemptions, one of them being an SEZ exemption. Maybe the developer does not deal with the SEZ and you have a chain, a supply chain. The earlier parties charge service tax, and at a later stage, SEZ supplies are exempted, and therefore this results in an inefficient SENVET credit mechanism, resulting in an additional cost. Administrative issues like TDS coming up recently on these entire issues. And the most important thing is, the transition towards paying service tax did not happen from 16th May 2008. And therefore, there's an intermediary period wherein vendors did not charge service tax on physical products or did not charge service tax on electronic licenses. So that's where there's an exposure on each of the vendors as well as the distributors from the service tax department. So these are some of the issues. I don't think we could have easy answers to these questions. We'll have to wait for the Supreme Court to look at ISODA and really lay down principles of when can a software be treated as goods and when can it be treated as services. And the last controversy, and then I'll travel back to my seat, travel and tourism. And here, the issue which comes up is a very simplistic point which I want to highlight. If I undertake a tour in Kerala, it's a service tax is payable, Indian government is authorized to collect it. If the tour is undertaken in Jammu and Kashmir, there is no service tax because the service tax law does not extend to Jammu and Kashmir. What happens to outbound tours? I undertake a tour of visiting, let's say, the Europe or the Americas or the Singapore, the Far East. Is service tax payable on such tours? And that's where we go back to section 64, which talks about the citers of the Act, which says that the service tax law applies to the whole of India, excluding Jammu and Kashmir. It also says it applies to taxable services provided. When you read it together, it means that the law applies to taxable services provided within India. It does not apply to taxable services provided outside India. You cannot interpret the law to be service provider specific. It has to be interpreted service specific only. Yes, there is section 66A which taxes import of services, but it gets attracted subject to place of supply rules and also in a case where the services are provided by a foreigner. So just to have a small clip art on that, we have a situation wherein services provided from India and used outside India can be treated as an export of service, not liable for tax. Services provided from India used in India should be taxed. Services provided from outside India and received in India taxed as import of services. The controversy which we are talking about is the last leg. Can we really tax services provided by an Indian travel operator to an Indian customer, but those services are provided in Europe? The department says, you are an Indian, your customer is an Indian, so necessarily the money will come in Indian currency, and therefore one of the conditions of export of services rules, receipt of money in convertible foreign exchange is not satisfied, and therefore you are required to pay a service tax. My contention would be, you go to export of service rules only if the law is applicable. If the law itself is not applicable, how do you go to export of services rules? And if you do that, then there are two fundamental discrepancies or discriminations which come out. The first discrimination is, you are exempting tours in Jammu and Kashmir, but you are taxing tours in Switzerland. And the second important discrepancy is, if an Indian goes to an Indian service provider, an Indian tour operator, service tax you are charging. But if an Indian appoints a foreign tour operator, then your place of supply rules say services are performed outside India, no tax is applicable. So you are discriminating against an Indian service provider in favor of a foreign service provider, which ideally cannot happen. So on both these grounds, I would feel that this should be treated as excluded from service tax, and therefore there should not be any liability towards service tax on this. I have already overshooted my time. Thank you very much for a very, very patient hearing. If there are questions towards the end, we might like to take it. Thank you.
Chairman for the technical session, Mr. Rajendra Kumar, and Central Council member. Dignitaries on the dais, my fellow speaker, respected seniors and other friends. In fact, when I was told to speak at this regional conference and when the topic was decided as tax deduction at source, I was quite surprised that a regional conference like this should have a topic probably something which is as elementary as tax deduction at source. But then I realized that this is probably the one topic which is evergreen, and with the introduction of provisions like 40A, 1A, which seek to provide for a disallowance in the event of there being a failure to deduct tax, I think the provisions relating to tax deduction at source have now become a daily problem. It is not something which was a problem or is a problem which is faced occasionally, but has become a problem where the